So a couple weeks ago, we talked about absolute value, but we mentioned it very briefly. So today I'm going to do a mini lesson on absolute value. I think this is one of the easier things to deal with when you're talking about integers. So if you remember, integer is just a fancy word for a positive or negative whole number. So absolute value is the distance between any number and 0 on the number line. Because it is distance, the answer is always positive. On the notes we took a couple weeks ago, the symbol for absolute value looks like two parallel lines with a number in between it. So what this means is how far away from 0 is the number -6, and that answer would be 6. Basically, what you do is you make the number inside the parallel lines a positive number. If it already is a positive number, you keep it positive. So for example, if you saw something like this, the answer would still be +4. Because that means how far away from 0 is 4, and it's 4 spots away from 0. So no matter what, whatever is inside the parallel lines, you make it a positive number, okay? To compare numbers, including absolute values, first you rewrite the absolute value as what it actually is, and then you order least to greatest. So let's take a look at this example. We have a -3, a -7, a -10, -2, absolute value of -4, absolute value of 6. So the absolute value of -4 is 4. What you do is cross it out and make it a positive number every time. The absolute value of 6 is 6. Again, keep it positive. Now we want to order these least to greatest. So if we're going least to greatest, we want to start with our negatives. So these are all of our negative numbers. Remember, when you're doing your negatives, the bigger it looks, the smaller it actually is. So -10 would be the smallest, followed by -7, and then -3, -2, and then +4 and +6, but you write the originals. So +4 really looks like this, and +6 really looks like that. Okay, so you make your absolute values into the positive numbers that they are, and then you order least to greatest. But when you order least to greatest, you have to write what it originally looked like. Okay? All right, so let's try some examples. I'm going to have you guys flip over your notes. Just make sure that you did all of this first with me. Okay, and then we're going to try some examples. So for this first one, I'm going to do the first two. So you're just going to watch. I will do them, then I'll give you some to try. So this is find the absolute value of 3. That is just saying how far away from 0 is 3. So that answer is 3. You just make the number positive. If it already is positive, leave it positive. Find the absolute value of -2.5. All you do is make it positive. So 2.5. So a common mistake I see when people are doing this is they make it the opposite of whatever it is. That is not true. You make it positive no matter what. So if it's positive, keep it positive. Don't put a negative, keep it positive. All right, so I'm going to have you try these two. It says find the absolute value of -10, find the absolute value of 8.3. This is just kind of like a period at the end of a sentence. So all you're going to do is write those numbers as the positive versions of themselves. So try those two. All right. I'm going to have you try these 6 as well. So make sure you pause it. Again, the symbol just means how far away from 0 are these numbers. All you're doing is making them positive. 0 is not positive or negative, so you're just going to write 0 again. Okay, so see if you could try these 6. Now we're going to do some comparisons. So it says compare +2 and the absolute value of -5. So what you do first is figure out what the absolute value of -5 is, which is +5. So now we're comparing which is bigger, +2 or +5. So +5 is bigger. So I'm going to open it up towards the +5. But we want to write the original, so I'm just going to put the absolute value symbol and the negative sign back. This is bigger because this stands for the number 5, and 5 is greater than 2. All right, so you try this one. So do your absolute value first, make it a positive, and then write your greater than or less than sign between them, but make sure you write the original when you do it. So try that one. Okay, I'm going to have you try these as well. Same exact thing, put a greater than or less than symbol. Make sure if you see an absolute value sign, you cross it out and make it a positive number first, and then put your symbol. So try those 4. Okay, the next one says, the table shows the elevations of several animals. Which animal is the deepest? So this is basically saying which one is the farthest away from 0. So what you do is you make all of the numbers positive and choose the biggest one. So this would be 4. This will stay 5. This will stay 56, 65, and 22. Now you figure out which one is the biggest. So 65, so that means the shrimp is the deepest. It's the farthest number away from 0. B says, is the shark or the sea lion closer to sea level? So sea level means closer to 0. So we're looking at the shark and we're looking at the sea lion. And we want to figure out which one's closer to 0. That means which one is smaller out of the two. So that would be 4. So that would be the shark. All right. So let me give you one of these ones to try. It says the table shows the elevations of a bird and a fish. Is the bird or the fish closer to sea level? So which one of these numbers is closer to 0? So you make them both positive, and in this case, pick the smaller one because you want the number closer to 0. So try that one. And this is your final problem. So you're just going to do these 5 as kind of like your ticket to leave. So find the absolute value, make them positive. Do a greater than, less than, or equal sign. Make sure your absolute values become positives first. See if you can answer number 5. Make sure you do these on the back of your notes, and you are all set.